जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य ष्टोदरक्षित डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भय चरणार वैष्णव की नामाचार्य श्रद्धास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपिनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथ धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा मई जमुना धाम भक्ति देवी तुलसी महाराज कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशन दौर गौर प्रेमानंद all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Ajnana ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। और आगे आगे आप लोग अदर व्यक्ति में कम है। So, ये ठीक है प्रभु? Okay. बस So my gratitude to Varada Krishna Prabhu and the temple management here for inviting me for this evening session. We are continuing with our Gita Jayanti lecture series, and till today morning we have completed 9th chapter till 14th verse. Then now we will continue from the 15th verse of the 9th chapter. 9th chapter is entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. Also, the first 6 chapters of the Gita are focused on Karma Yoga, the last 6 chapters on Jnana Yoga, and the middle 6 chapters from the 7th to the 12th, they comprise of Bhakti Yoga. As I described this morning, the 5 topics of Gita are Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. How the Jiva is engrossed in exploiting Prakriti, and that creates the impressions and experiences of Bhoga, and then an alternative relationship with Ishvara is revealed through his literatures. So Krishna is explaining in various chapters in the Gita what exactly are the possibilities of relationship with him through multiple yoga processes. So Nishkam Karma Yoga was covered. After that, Ashtanga Yoga in the 6th chapter was covered. From the 7th chapter onwards, Krishna begins to explain how one can witness all of Krishna's energies through the process of hearing Tat Shrunu. And then he explains how you can actually see Krishna in different forms of his creation. And then 8th chapter highlights and focuses on how one should prepare oneself for death. Life is a preparation, death is an examination. And by remembering Krishna at the time of death, one can go to the spiritual world. Then the 9th chapter begins with the whole understanding of the best amongst all knowledge is bhakti, the knowledge of Krishna in relationship with the jiva through devotional service. Rajavidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Idamuttamam, Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam. It is directly perceived and Susukham. It is experienced with great bliss and joy. Now, having described how Krishna is present in entire creation through his energies, Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagatavyakamurtina. Then Krishna explains that three forms of worshippers are there. Ekatvena, Prathakvena, Bahudha, Vishvato Mukham. That those who approach the Lord in impersonal form, those who approach the Lord as worshipping of demigods, and third, those who approach the Lord in his universal form. These are different forms of indirect worshippers. Ekatvena, Prathakvena, Bahudha. So, after having described the impersonalists who worship the Lord, then Krishna explains that one can actually take shelter of the Supreme Lord by engaging in his internal energy. And so Krishna says that my internal energy is that which gives shelter to all the devotees. And therefore, please take shelter of my internal energy. And Krishna is explaining that the great devotees who are Mahatmas are constantly engaged in such an activity. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita. And what do the Mahatmas do? The Mahatmas are constantly engaged in kirtan. Satatam kirtan kuma. They are constantly engaged in kirtan. So having described this, we concluded this morning session by explaining and revealing that Gita has 700 verses. So the first 349 verses till the 12th verse of 9th chapter. And then from the 15th verse of the 9th chapter to the last verse of 78th verse of 18th chapter is another 349 verses. In between the two verses, verse 13 and 14th of the 9th chapter come right at the middle of the entire Gita, and both of these verses describe the principle of the internal potency of Krishna which is represented by Srimati Radharani, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita, and describe about Kirtan in the next verse, which is Saratam Kirtayantuma. So this is the overall journey of the Bhagavad Gita. And now Krishna continues describing about the different types of worshippers in various scriptures. Jnana yajnena chapyanne yajanto ma upasate ekatvena prakatvena bahudha vishvatomukham. So the important thing is whatever is there in Krishna consciousness is based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. This is the three check marks for practice and progress. So Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and this was in Kumbh Mela. And Prabhupada suddenly asked a question. Why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So one devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, because Gita says. Prabhupada said, well, that may be so. It's a book. What else? Someone said, Srila Prabhupada, because you say. Prabhupada said, I'm an old man. I say so many things. Then the devotee said, but what is the real reason? Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, you experience transformation within. And by that transformation, you have faith. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. The devotees thought, okay, very deep answer. 3 years later, Prabhupada was in another place having a morning walk. And in that morning walk, Prabhupada suddenly asked, why is Krishna Supreme Personality of Godhead? So there was one devotee who was in that walk. He thought, I know the answer. And he thought, if I tell that answer, I will impress Prabhupada. And none of the other devotees here know that answer. So he said, Srila Prabhupada, because when you chant Hare Krishna, you experience transformation. By that you know Krishna is Supreme Personality of God. Prabhupada said, no, because Gita says so. So today is Gita Jayanti, the day when Krishna spoke the Gita. And therefore, anything we practice is based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So therefore Krishna says, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharam Suhrit Prabhava Pralayasthanam Vidhanam Srijamokte. I am the ultimate destination and the ultimate maintainer and the nourisher of all. I am also the witness. And so, Prabhu means Tat Tat Sarva Karmasu Samartatva Prabhu. One who is capable of performing all kinds of activities marvelously is Prabhu. Namo Akinchana Vittaya Nivritta Gunavrittaye Atma Ramaya Shantaya Kaivalya Pataye Namah. Kunti Maharani glorifies Krishna is the property of those who are materially impoverished. Akinchana Vittaya Atma Ramaya Shantaya. Krishna can be realized by the Atma Rama devotees. And so, he is glorified as that Supreme Personality of God. So now, having described about the impersonal form, he also describes about the Vishwarupa, the Virat Rupa, or the universal form, how the Lord is perceived by different people in nature. And then Krishna describes about the demigods. That yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktum shraddhaya chitumantari. So you worship, and Krishna from within the heart provides the faith. And through that faith, you actually worship a particular demigod in that form, asking for certain benedictions. But having described all of these indirect methods, Krishna then recommends the direct method of remembering him. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. One who is constantly remembering me, one who is worshipping me with devotion. Tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I maintain what they have and I supply what they lack. So Krishna is expressing that I take responsibility of those who are constantly absorbed in remembering me. Sometimes people feel, why should I dedicate so much of time remembering Krishna, chanting holy names? So much of productive time is going away. Is it good to spend so much time just remembering him? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So, actually, by dedicating one's quality time remembering Krishna, and especially early in the morning. Why? Because we express gratitude to the Lord for all the energies and all the facilities He has provided to us. And we take and seek His permission before we begin the day's activities. And pray to Him to be engaged in His seva. The meaning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, please engage me in your seva. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with Haridas Thakur, so Thakur Haridas had a daily sadhana. What was his daily sadhana? Chanting 192 rounds only. For those who feel 16 rounds is too much, you can contemplate Haridas Thakur's daily commitment. 192 rounds. There was one doctor I was preaching to, and I told him, you chant. He said, how much? I said, 16 rounds. He said, are you mad? Do you think I'm a full-time sadhu like you? I'm a surgeon, I'm busy morning till night. If I spend chanting, then I can't do my profession. I can't chant 16. Forget it. So I said, okay, chant 8 rounds. He said, 8 rounds? Are you mad? I don't have time to eat also. So we kept negotiating 4 rounds, 2 rounds, 1 round. Finally, we settled for 4 mantras. But you have to begin somewhere. And in our market, customers are very difficult. So we are used to, various things. So I said, okay, begin somewhere. So every time I would go for a program, he would come and share with me 4 mantras I'm chanting. Gradually he came to 8 mantras. Then he came to 16 mantras. After 2 to 3 year period, he came to 64 mantras. So one day after that program, I was talking to some devotees, our regular devotees. Some of them were initiated also. This doctor came and said, my 64 is going on. The devotees got a heart attack. And they said, Prabhu, your preaching is very potent. New doctor, chanting 64. I said, not mala, mantra. इसका volume बढ़ो. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Thakur Haridas, just imagine, if one day we chant 17 rounds, we feel special. We feel like telling someone that I chanted extra. What to speak of 20 rounds or 24 rounds? It's like. So 192 rounds means Thakur Haridas is so exalted. But he's so exalted, but he's not wanting to come in front of Lord Chaitanya. From a distance, he's offering obeisances. And Lord Chaitanya says, where is Haridas? He says, no, he feels fallen. He doesn't want to come in front of you. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls him. And Lord Chaitanya embraces him. Haridas Thakur is saying, don't touch me, because I am extremely fallen, I am impure. And Lord Chaitanya says, Prabhu kohe Thomas Parshi, Toma gur hoite, Tomara pavitra dhurmani, nahika amate. Lord Chaitanya says, by touching you, I am actually feeling purified. I am experiencing that purity just by your touch. Kshane kshane karatumi sarvatirthyer snam. Kshane kshane karatumi yag vijanyati hoy se tumi param pavan. Because of your constant chanting of the holy names, you have actually engaged in studying all the Vedic literatures. Because the essence of all the Vedic literatures is Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada was with some Gurukul students, and two very, very famous scholars of Vedic literatures came to meet Srila Prabhupada. They offered respects to Prabhupada, and someone introduced Srila Prabhupada. These two are very, very well-known Vedic scholars. Prabhupada said, okay, since you have been studying all the Vedas, my question to you is, who is the supreme personality of God? So the two scholars looked at each other, and they looked at Srila Prabhupada, and they said, Swamiji, this is a very complex question. The study of the Vedas is very, very challenging and complex. One cannot come to a conclusion like this. It will take some time. Srila Prabhupada immediately called one of the Gurukul boys. And there was a jar, transparent glass jar, filled with laddus. Prabhupada placed his hand on that glass jar, turned to the Gurukul student and said, who is the supreme personality of God? That Gurukul student saw, where is Prabhupada's hand? And he started thinking that if I give the right answer, the future is bright. He immediately said, Krishna! Prabhupada immediately took one page. Very good. Then Prabhupada again placed his hand. And Prabhupada said, who is Krishna? And that boy thought, oh, this is chance for getting one more line. He said, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very good. Go and play. Prabhupada turned to the scholars and told them in Hindi, हमारे इस्कॉन में बच्चा भी जानता है भगवान कौन है. Even a child knows who is the Supreme Personality of God. So one of the scholars protested, लेकिन स्वामी जी वो बच्चा नहीं जानता कि कृष्ण भगवान कैसे हैं. That child doesn't know how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Prabhupada said, वो तो कृष्णा भी नहीं जानते. Even Krishna doesn't know that, because his glories are going on increasing, and you can never come to the end of Krishna's glories. And therefore, simply by the process of remembering and worshipping Krishna sincerely, Krishna supplies whatever we need in this life, and Krishna supplies all the knowledge we need from within. Then Krishna says, and to worship me is not difficult, it is very easy. How easy? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanam. You want to worship me with leaf, flower, fruit, water. Yo me bhaktya prayachati. Worship me with devotion. What I will taste is the bhakti within. I will taste the devotion. And therefore, Krishna is very eager to taste the devotion in the devotee's heart. With great devotion, one offers to Krishna whatever simple efforts one can make. When Sudamaji reached Krishna in Dwarka, he was only carrying flat rice, poha, right? So the chipped rice or the flat rice or poha is one of the simplest things you can find. There's nothing cheaper than that. But because he went with great love and devotion, Krishna was reciprocating. And you know, Sudamaji had not cooked nice poha with all kinds of vegetables and, made it with the right kind of spicing and taken. He just had the flat rice dry as it is, hard. When we were in our Vrindavan Kartik Yatra in 2008, after 2-3 days of the yatra, some of the devotees said, we want to cook also. You are getting all the mercy. So I said, you have experience of cooking for 3,000-4,000 people? They said, unless we get chance, how we will get experience? So you should not be miserly. You should be merciful. So I listened to them, allowed them to cook. And that day menu was poha, chipped rice, flat rice. They made it little hard. So I know that immediately feedback will come. As soon as the cooking was over, I escaped so that no one can catch me. But afternoon, during lunch, One devotee came into the kitchen searching for me. He had reserved his feedback and he loves giving feedback. So he came up to me and said, "Arey, what was that you poha you gave in the morning? It was so hard, my teeth fell off." I said, "Arey, that was not poha, that was cornflakes. You're supposed to mix with herbal tea and eat." So, "Oh, cornflakes? Nobody told me." I said, "You never asked me." He got thoroughly confused. I left from there. So satisfied that in measure with Krishna, Sito Deva Devena Vipradevena Deva. Krishna worshipped me, massaged my feet, and took such good care of me through his hospitality. And he treated me as if I was one of the demigods. Pujito Deva Devena. You can come ahead. So this is how Krishna reciprocates when someone offers him even something very insignificant. Then Krishna says, okay, someone may not have bhakti, then what? Because the most important ingredient described in the previous verse was bhakti. But if some says that I don't have bhakti, then Krishna says, whatever you have, you offer to me. Yat karoshi, yadashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurutva madarpanam, tat purushva madarpanam. You offer whatever you can. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you want to give away, do it as an offering unto me. And so, Krishna says that otherwise I am equivalent to all. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti. I am equal towards all living entities. It is not that someone has a better eligibility for bhakti than others. Access towards me is equal for all. Equal opportunity is provided. And so we have the example of Sripad Narad Muni, who in his childhood was serving the Bhakti Vedantis. His mother was like a maid servant. And at the age of 5, his mother departed. And when Narad Muni saw my mother is the person on whom I was completely sheltered, she is no longer there. It was the greatest tragic incident in his life. If one loses the shelter of the one upon whom one is totally dependent, they can go completely berserk. But what was Narad Muni's response? Tada tadahamishasya bhaktanam sham adhipsatam anugraha manyama. Because he is more interested in transforming our consciousness and bringing us close to him. And so, Narad Muni attained the Lord's grace and mercy because of the association of those Bhakti Vedantis. Whatever opportunity he got, he was engaged in serving the Lord. And so, it is said, Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Rath Yatra ordered for distribution of prasadam in Balagandi. And as the prasadam was being distributed, Lord Chaitanya finished his prasadam. And then he ordered Govinda, his servant, says, last 2 points, what is my expectation? My expectation is Krishna will take care of me and Krishna will protect me. Krishna will take care of me, Krishna will protect me. In spite of all this, he is still dependent on Krishna. So therefore, because of this consciousness, instead of retaliating, he was actually reciprocating with this incident with gratitude. And because of his response, because all of us while performing our seva will go through certain difficulties and challenges. But what is important is not just the intensity of our sadhana, the consistency of our seva, but also sensitivity towards other sevaks. And Indradumna Maharaj demonstrated sensitivity towards other sevaks. And because of this, it is described. What was the result? Apanna kaunjarim shautam, apanna kaunjarim yonim, atmasmriti vinashinim, hari archana bhavena, yat gajatvepi anusmriti. It is described, although he got the body of an elephant. The body of an elephant is not very favorable for remembering the Lord. Atma Smriti Vinashini, which actually destroys the ability to remember the Lord. But because in the previous life, Indradumna Maharaj had performed his sadhana very well, his seva very well, and most importantly, he was sensitive in how he dealt with Agastya Rishi. He was cursed. He tolerated that curse. He resisted his urge to counter curse. At that moment, it may have appeared that he is lost. But what did he gain? He lost his human body. He gained an elephant body, but most importantly, because of that tolerance, he gained Krishna's pleasure. And because Krishna was pleased, Krishna facilitated his remembrance. Because remembrance of Krishna is facilitated only by Krishna. Mattaha smritir jnana apoham. And at that moment, as Gajendra, when he needed most, he was able to remember. Evam yavasita buddhya samadhaya manohridi jajapa paramam japyam pragjanma anushikshitam. He was able to remember because of that. So therefore, tolerance means to endure with gratitude. And what is sincerity? To not give up and continue chanting with character. So Krishna says, even if one makes a mistake, even if there is a challenge and difficulty, you continue with the faith that I will protect. Kauntaya prajanihi name bhakta nashyati. In our programs in temple at Chowpatty, during festivals, thousands of people come. So when devotees are standing in line for prasadam, sometimes they are in anxiety that by the time I reach the prasadam counter, will prasad still remain or will it get over? Sometimes when you are standing in line and the line doesn't seem to move, that anxiety is genuine. But sometimes more anxiety is for the server because he is thinking, I will get after everybody else. So because of that anxiety, he starts serving smaller quantity. subconsciously. And people come and complain, Are your server is serving sabji like chutney. Tell him to serve nicely. Now he has a genuine fear. How do you remove that fear? You make a plate for him in advance. Make a plate for the server in advance and keep the plate right next to him only. And while serving, whenever he gets some doubt, he keeps looking at his plate. If I continue serving, I will be taken care. Then he starts serving double. With so much enthusiasm, people come and say, Arey Baba, save for yourself also. And he says, Vaishnava Seva is the duty of life. So much confidence from where he gets. Because he knows, if I serve, I am being taken care. Krishna is taking care. So the devotee prasadam or Krishna is guaranteed. And then Krishna explains that the conclusion of this knowledge is Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamai vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayana. Always think of me, remember me, serve me with diligence. Now Krishna, after having described about bhakti, he says how to begin the process of bhakti. And he says the process of bhakti begins by knowing about Krishna and Krishna's glories and his energies. And that Krishna is the source of all. So now, in the 10th chapter, Krishna gives an entire description to Arjuna that whatever attractive you see in this world is nothing but a spark of my splendor only. And so, Krishna says, I am not so easily known, but at the same time, I can be very easily known. Name vidu suragana prabhavantinam maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. Even the demigods cannot know and understand me. And in 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam we have episodes of demigods like even Brahmaji getting bewildered. Aho bhagyam nanda gopa prajokasam yanamitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatana. The Brajavasis are so fortunate, they could understand Krishna. They are playing with Krishna as if Krishna is their own family member, intimate associate. Brahmaji is acknowledging, I could not recognize and realize Krishna. And so, even the biggest demigods cannot understand Krishna so easily. But Krishna, he says, you have to understand me by understanding 4 important principles. And Krishna reveals the easy way to know him. And these verses 10.8, 9, 10, 11, 10th chapter, 4 verses become part of what is known as the Chatushloki in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitam. Krishna says, first, you have to understand attraction. How do you get attracted to me? By realizing that I am the source of everything. And you have to see Krishna as the Lord in the heart. I am the source of everything, Krishna says in this particular verse. Then in the next verse he says, after understanding the principle of attraction that I am the source, that attraction will only be nourished in association. Without that association, it cannot be nourished. And so he says, Machitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantas Chumam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. In that association of devotees, you have to come together, hear and chant my glories. And when you do that, then you will become transformed. By that process of hearing and chanting Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Amanistarite tomar iha agaman, Parama dayalu tumi, patita pavan. Ramananda tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I am so fortunate to receive your association and shelter. And he says, you are Patita Pavan, my dear Lord. You are the deliverer of the fallen. And what is the definition of Patita? Vedanishta madhye ardhe kaveda mukhe mane vedanishidha papa kore dharma nahi bane. When someone knows what is to be done, what is not to be done, still they continue doing that. They are Patita. And so he glorifies Lord Chaitanya, that you have appeared here to deliver me with your association. Mahanta Swabhava Ei Karite Pamar Nija Karya Nahi Tabu Jatara Bhar. Mahanta Swabhava. It is the Swabhava or the nature of Mahatmas that they travel to deliver all the souls. And therefore you have come here to deliver me. So the association of devotees is centered around hearing and chanting. Parasparanukathanam pavanam bhagavat yasha mitharati mitha tushti nivrata mitha atmana. Mitha means activity performed between two people. It provides higher taste, great joy and pleasure. And so Srila Prabhupada emphasized that we begin our day with the chanting of the holy names, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, and end the day also with chanting of the Lord's holy names. The devotees were doing Harinam Sankirtan in Australia on the streets. The police arrested them, put him in jail. The devotees wrote to Prabhupada that the lawyers are asking for few $1,000s for releasing us on bail. Prabhupada said, don't pay any money. Continue in the jail, do Harinam Sankirtan in the jail. The devotees started doing Kirtan. The other prisoners were feeling bored. They also joined the Kirtan. Gradually this became a few hours program every day. The devotees started thinking, Arey, we are getting more result inside the jail. And then the jail guards, they saw we are the only ones left out. They also joined. So one day, the main jailer, he came for a visit One of the guards looked at the jailer and said, "Hurry, go." So the jailer got bewildered. He told the devotee, "I'm releasing him." They said, "But we have not paid the bail amount. Why are you releasing us?" Said, "You guys are more dangerous inside the jail than outside." So that association of devotees is the only shelter where the hearing and chanting can happen with what? Gaurapaho na bhajya maino premarata dhama helaya haraino. Narottam Das Thakur says, I got the opportunity to worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I gave it up. Adhana yatana dhana dhanataya geno apana karama doshe apani dubino. Who do I blame for this deviation and fall? Who do I blame for my miserable condition? Because I can't blame anyone. I only am responsible for making those choices. And because of making choices and choosing sense gratification over Krishna consciousness, I feel nervous to come to the association, and I have distanced myself from the association. I have distanced myself from the association because now I get doubts in the devotees. Because how can I justify my sense gratification? If I have to justify my sense gratification, I have to find fault in Krishna, I have to find fault in the philosophy, I have to find fault in the institution, I have to find fault in the devotees. Only then I can rationalize, because rationalization is the use of intelligence in the service of false ego. Satsanga chhadi koinu asate bilas Trikarane lagiluye karma bandha fas. And as soon as I leave the association of devotees, the senses which I could control before, I cannot do that any longer. So we should realize the ability to chant 16 rounds, the ability to follow the principles is not my own individual power. It is the Vaishnava Satsanga which is providing that power, that ability. And so I should remain grateful to that Sangha. Beshaya Beshama Besha Satatanhainu Gaurakirtana Rase Magana Nahoinu. And the more I engage in sense gratification, the more distracted my mind becomes. And it becomes difficult to chant the holy name. Srila Jiva Goswami says, you commit 100 offenses, mind will become distracted. You commit 1,000 offenses, you will not have the power to follow the regulative principles. You commit 10,000 offenses, the holy name will not manifest on the tongue. Kenova ache pran ki sukha paiya Narottama dasakeno nagelo mariya. What is the use of this life, having attained this human form of life? That association of devotees is our main shelter. And so God is unlimited and attractive. How He is realized and relished by us, and how He is realized and relished by others is the second Chatushloka. Third, he says, the attraction towards Krishna is nourished in the association of devotees, and now you will experience Krishna's affection for you. Tesham sakata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogantam yena mam upayanti te. Krishna gives the intelligence from within. He's always our guide, loves all, especially those who love him, and one becomes free from the impurities. And then, when he gives the knowledge from within, तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमं नाशयामि आत्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वतः. Krishna gives knowledge from within of Nashayami Atmabhavasto, destroy the ignorance, even if one does not have full idea of scriptures. And therefore, the Lord gives the intelligence from within, and the Lord destroys the ignorance from within. So, giving of intelligence and destruction of ignorance, that is affection and absorption. Nashayami Atmabhavasto, the Lord reciprocates for an absorbed devotee. So when Nityananda Prabhu sees that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not reciprocating sufficiently with Pratapaguru Maharaj and not giving him his darshan, he becomes worried. And he tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you do not give your mercy and your grace and your darshan, Pratapaguru Maharaj will give up his body. Therefore, please, at least, you give your vastra, your external cloth. एक बहिर्वास जगे देह कृपा करी ताहा पाया प्राण राखे तुम्हारा शधरी. At least you will have some hope that you will come when he receives your vastra. So the Lord gives the idea what to do in a certain situation. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his Uttariya, Pratapaguru Maharaj became overwhelmed with gratitude. वस्त्र पाया राजा होइला आनंदित मन प्रभु रूप कोरि कोरे वस्त्रेर पूजन. He started worshipping that cloth as if Lord Chaitanya has personally come. Therefore, Lord is always guiding us from within. That is a special advantage devotee has. Devotee should never feel I am alone. Devotee should never feel I do not have support. He should never feel Lord is not looking at what I am doing. He is always there, guiding you from within, directing you from within. That support is always present. When Lord Chaitanya looks at the Brahmana who is reading Gita upside down in Sriranga, Lord Chaitanya looks at him and says, you do not seem to know Sanskrit. You do not seem to know the language. You are reading Gita upside down, but still you are crying tears of ecstasy. What is this? How come, in spite of not knowing Sanskrit grammar, you are relishing this Bhagavad Gita? And that Brahmana tells Lord Chaitanya, Vipra kohe murkha ame shabdarth na jani shuddha shuddha Gita pari Guru Ragyamani. Says, yes, I do not know Sanskrit. I may not know this. But I am murkha. I am foolish. Shabdartha na jani. I do not know the meanings of the different words. I am not good in Sanskrit at all. But Shuddha Shuddha Gita Pari. As per my capacity, I am studying Gita. Why? Guru Ragyamani. I am following my Guru's instruction. So therefore, Krishna is revealing that if you develop attraction for me through the association of devotees, I will reciprocate. And you will experience my affection for you. You will experience that reciprocation because of your absorption in me. And I will destroy the ignorance within. All you need to do is be sincere in your effort. And I will guide you from within. So Prabhupada was at a program and it was a sadhu sammelan. So many powerful spiritual leaders were speaking big philosophy. But the major theme was everything is one. Prabhupada suddenly got up, started walking away. Gurudas Prabhu was next to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, you are going to be the next speaker. Why are you going? Prabhupada said, they are speaking the same thing, everything is one, everything is one. I am not inspired right now. You speak on my behalf. Gurudas Prabhu said, but Prabhupada, I am a new devotee. I am only 3-4 years in Krishna consciousness. How will I speak? Prabhupada said, the level at which they are speaking, I think whatever you know is enough. It's more than you speak. Prabhupada. So Gurudas Prabhu came on the stage and he said, all of you are saying everything is one, but my question is Rasgulla the sweet same as stool on the street? Everybody was shocked. They had never heard an example like this. They came to Prabhupada and started complaining. Swamiji, your disciple is insulting us. He's calling us ill names. He's telling us to eat stool on the street. Prabhupada called Gurudas. Did you say that? He said, no, Prabhupada, I was giving an analogy. They are saying everything is one. How can Rasgulla, which is a sweet, same as stool on the street? I gave an example. Prabhupada turned to those sadhus who were complaining and he said, my American disciples, they give very graphic examples. You go. I'll take care. They left. When they left, Prabhupada turned to Gurudas. What was that? Rasgulla on the sweet, stool on the street. Excellent example. So Prabhupada encouraged and inspired devotees to start preaching Krishna consciousness, whatever they may know. If you sit and wait, I will memorize the entire 700 verses. Then I will begin preaching Gita. That day will never come. Krishna will reciprocate. He is there within the heart. And he will reveal whatever is required at whatever time. Krishna will respond accordingly. So now, at this stage, Arjuna hears this Chatushloki and Arjuna is very inspired and he suddenly starts glorifying Krishna's opulences. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Majam Yudhum. He says, you are the supreme Param Brahma, you are the Param Dhama, you are the supreme pure. And he glorifies Krishna. And he says, this is not just my own opinion. Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve Devarshi Naradatha Asito Devalo Vyaso Swayameva Bravishime. This is not just my opinion. All the great souls in the past, they have also glorified, they have also certified. This is certified by all the powerful personalities. So therefore in our tradition we have 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo Manu, Pralado, Janako, Vishnu, Bali, Vayasaki and Yamaraj. So Prabhupada was giving a lecture and he said, these are the 12 Mahajans. One devotee was sitting there. He said, Prabhupada, you are the 13th. Prabhupada said, you are the 14th. Follow in the footsteps of these Mahajans and develop those spiritual qualifications. The association of devotees is meant for that transformation within you. And so, he says, Sarvametam ratam manye yanmam vadasi keshavam Nahite Bhagavan Vyaktim Vidurdeva Nadanava. That actually, I accept whatever you have said, and you are Bhagavan. So he says, who is Bhagavan? Bhagavan means Bha has two meanings, nourisher and basis. Ga means three meanings, leader, carrier and creator. So Bha and Ga together means strength, fame, riches, beauty, knowledge, renunciation. And Va means all the jivas exist in Krishna, is the soul of all souls, and as super soul he resides in all the jivas. So Bhagavan basically means this. Nahi te Bhagavan vyaktim vidur devana danava. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was translating, he wrote his books in English in the initial years. And Prabhupada had a lot of manuscripts. And one of his disciples, Haidev Prabhu, said to Prabhupada, I see that you are typing it yourself. Is there anything I can do? I can also type. So Prabhupada gave him some manuscripts. Within 24 hours, he typed and brought it back to Prabhupada. And he said, any more manuscripts? Prabhupada took him inside the room and opened a big trunk. It was filled with manuscripts. Haidev Prabhu looked at that and said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, this is a lifetime of typing. Prabhupada said, no, several lifetimes. And so when Prabhupada wrote, so one of the devotees was also doing English editing. So as English editor, he saw at one place Prabhupada has written Shri Shri Radha Krishna. He cut one Shri and said repetition. Prabhupada saw that. He said, why you cut this? He said, Shri Shri, 2 times Shri is used. So it is repetition. You can't say as, and. Prabhupada said, when I write in your language, you edit me. When I write in my language, don't edit. So he didn't want him to edit the Sanskrit. So Prabhupada spent significant time explaining the glories of Bhagavan. Every day, 6 to 7 hours, Prabhupada was spending translating his books in the middle of the night. Because he wanted all the devotees in Iskcon to get the literatures of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita as it is. This was Srila Prabhupada's special favor to all of us, that he spent significant time giving us these literatures. Significant time giving us these books so that we can get absorbed in these books. Alakshitosmin rahasi mamakairapi gobraje urudvijati samsaram swasti vachana purvakam. And so Gargacharya is giving name to this Bhagavan as Krishna on the request of Nanda Maharaj. Evam samprarthito vipra swachikirshitamev tat chakaranam bhurahasi palayoho. And although he wanted to do it, but still he was hesitant, but on being repeatedly requested by Nanda Maharaj, he gives him the name Krishna. So that Bhagavan is given the name Krishna by Nanda Maharaj, by Gargacharya on the request of Nanda Maharaj. And so Srila Prabhupada gave us these literatures so that we can understand the glories of Bhagavan right from whatever stage we begin our practice. So many times people have this misconception. We should study these literatures and come to satsanga and practice bhakti only in older age, not in youth. One of our devotees joined the temple. So his father came and started arguing with the president. Why my son has joined at this age? He should not join at this age. When he's my age, he should join. The president said, let the son go, you join. He said, let me go and ask at home and come back. Next day he came back and said, let my son continue. I was in airport and suddenly one guy called out to me, Swamiji, Swamiji, stop. I look back. He said, Bhagavad Gita? You have Bhagavad Gita? I said, yeah, not here, it is in temple. He said, now I am 77 years old. I am thinking I should start Gita. This is the right age, you know. I said, what do you do? He said, I'm CA. I said, oh, chartered accountant. He said, no, complete aram. So this is the right age. So Arjuna is at the peak of about to start fighting. Before his most powerful action, he is spending some time in introspection. Because as I explained this morning, anybody can do action. But what is Gita? Teaching you yoga karmasu kaushalam. Gita is teaching you the right way to engage in action. Just like so many Indian families love to teach their kids music, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Kathak, or painting, various skills. They don't tell their kids, you learn at home. Start singing. Try. Do various permutations, combinations, experiment. One day on your own, you will reach Arangetram stage. Does not happen. You have to get trained under a guru for that skill. Right? It's not so easy. So Krishna is saying, if singing is a skill, painting is a skill, sculpting is a skill, dancing is a skill, has anyone ever told you in life that working is also a skill? If nobody has told you, Krishna is saying, I am telling you, and the manual for teaching you that skill of how to work is Bhagavad Gita. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. And everybody has to work. Not everybody needs to dance. Not everybody needs to sing. But work everybody has to. So which is more important skill to learn? How to perform the work with the pure intention, with the right inspiration, with full integrity, with the proper intelligence, and with sustained intensity. When you have these five, then your action is in the right direction. Without the intention, inspiration, intelligence, integrity, and intensity, your work will be whimsical. Because even while taking a bath, people can sing. Bathroom singers. Right? You can't call them trained musicians. You want to arangetram for such people. You have to be trained. So therefore, Krishna is saying, we need to get trained in this process. And that is what Arjuna then glorifies. Swayamevatmanatmanam vettatvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. My dear Lord, you are the supreme person, Purushottama, you are superior to all conditioned and liberated living beings. तारमध्य सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम संकीर्तन निरपराध नाम लय पाय प्रेमदन भोजनेर मध्य श्रेष्ठ नवविधा भक्ति कृष्ण प्रेम कृष्ण धीते धरे महाशक्ति. So therefore, glorifying the Supreme Lord through bhakti and chanting the holy names through Harinam Sankirtan is the method which is recommended. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looks at Sanatana Goswami, who is in a feeling of temporary feeling of depression, and he's wanting to commit suicide because he is infected with a certain bodily infection, boils all over his body. He feels he's a liability to the association of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. He's contemplating how to jump in front of the Rath Yatra cart and end his life. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just spoken the entire philosophy to him in Varanasi. But sometimes, in spite of being the most intelligent person, knowing all the philosophy, there are episodes in life one will go through where one's intelligence and philosophy will not come to one's rescue. Because in those moments, you need to hear the same philosophy from another devotee. Therefore, devotee care is very important. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looks at Sanatana Goswami and he says, you want to end your life? You think you are useless? You have no idea what kind of plans I have for you in future. And therefore, you are a sevak. The Swami will engage the sevak and get the seva out of the sevak. The sevak need not be in anxiety. He just has to continue depending on the Lord and serving the Lord. Bhakta Bhakti Krishna Prema Tatvira Nirdharan Vaishnavera Kritya Ara Vaishnava Achara. Oh Sanatan, I want you to teach what is Bhakta, what is Bhakti, what is the Tattva, who is Vaishnav, what is the Vaishnav Achara. And I want you to go to Vrindavan and establish Krishna Bhakti Krishna Prema Seva Pravartan Lokta Tirtha Uddhar Ara Vairagya Shikshan. I want you to establish temples which glorify devotional service. I want you to excavate the lost holy places. And I want you to write the manual for renounced order. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually engages Srila Sanatana Goswami in practical devotional service. The Lord is the maintainer of all living beings. So therefore, Arjuna calls him Bhuta Bhavana Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate. Bhuta Bhavana. Out of Bhavana, feeling for all living entities, the Lord makes all arrangements for the living entities. That Bhavana, that feeling for the devotees, is carried by Krishna in his heart, but that is reflected in the devotees' hearts. And so the devotees have to take care of other devotees. And in this case, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally intervened and protected Sanatana Goswami when his consciousness was going through a period of challenge. And therefore, we can never take any devotee for granted. And never think, oh, this devotee knows so much, what help he will need. Every devotee at every moment needs the support of that association. And so, from the 19th verse to 42nd verse, Krishna describes different vibhutis in the 10th chapter, describing how amongst the mountains I am the Himalaya, amongst water bodies I am the ocean, amongst various aquatics I am the shark. Like that, he describes multiple ways in which you can see Krishna in nature. Then, having described that, Krishna concludes this section by saying, the one above the many manifests as the one amongst the many. When you see something attractive, when you see someone very powerful, when you see someone is creating insecurity in you because of their power, see that power as a reflection of Krishna's power. That is how you can overcome envy. How to see attractive objects? Not as competitors to Krishna, but as pointers to Krishna. That it is Krishna's power which is reflected in this person. And therefore you can actually appreciate Krishna. And so, the important conclusion, everything attractive comes from Krishna, but not everything attractive takes you to Krishna. Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam Shrimat Urjitameva va Tatadgevam Gachatvam Mamate Domsha Sambhava. Anything attractive and powerful you see, O Arjuna, is nothing but a spark of my splendor. So Krishna has revealed to Arjuna through his words all of his energies. But he realizes that simply by hearing Arjuna may understand, but the future generations may not understand and they may want to see something more dramatic. So after the audio was over, Krishna wanted to begin the visual. So the 11th chapter is called the universal form. And so when Arjuna requests Krishna, please show me your universal form. At that time, Lord Krishna reveals to him the entire universal form. So the universal form, it is real because it takes us to the ultimate reality. But it is also imaginary because it's a product of imagination based on scriptural understanding, not an eternal form in some planet. And therefore, the universal form is revealed sometimes descending as a favor to certain selected souls, like it was shown to Arjuna and Yashodamai, but also ascending as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, and some other cantos, on how by seeing different elements in nature, you see reflection of Krishna in that. So therefore, philosophically, knowledge comes from God. Practically, knowledge begins from this world. An appreciation of the universe's magnificence and beauty is the appreciation of the Supreme Lord. And so, when Krishna reveals the beautiful universal form to Arjuna, and it is described that the form was so magnificent, millions and millions of heads and millions of hands and all the various soldiers were entering into Krishna's teeth. Seeing that, Arjuna became bewildered. Aneka bahodara vakranetram pashyami tvam sarvato anantarupam nantam namadhyam na punastavadim pashyami vishveshvara vishvarupa. And when Arjuna saw that Krishna as Vishwasya Ishvara, the controller of the universe, and then having glorified Krishna in this form, Vishvarupa revealed earlier, and Kala Rupa, where he sees all the various soldiers entering into Krishna, into that form of the universal form and getting destroyed. And when Arjuna sees that, he becomes bewildered and he asks Krishna, what is this form which has deadly teeth, with tongue coming out, and all the various soldiers entering into the mouth? Krishna says, Kalosmi loka kshetrit prabruddho lokan samahartamiha prabruddha hridepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve jivasthita pratyanekeshu yodhaha When the first atomic bomb was exploded in the Nevada desert in USA, Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist, when he saw that, he remembered this verse of the Gita, Kalosmi Lokakshetra Pravritta. So Arjuna's prayers is glorifying Krishna, obeisances to Krishna, apologies to Krishna, requesting Krishna. And in this way, Krishna says, time I am destroyer of all the worlds. And therefore, my instruction to you, Arjuna, is Tasmat Tvamuttishta Yasho Labhasva Jitva Shatrun Bhumshva Rajyam Samriddham Mayaivaite Nihita Purvameha Nimittamatra Bhava Savya Sachim. My dear Arjuna, don't speculate whether you are qualified, not qualified, capable, not capable. You have no control over your circumstances, but depend on me and elevate your consciousness. Because whatever needs to be done, nimitta matra, you become instrument. Bhava savya sachi. You are ambidextrous. That means Arjuna could fight with both right hand and left hand. That means it was the extent of his expertise. Sometimes the more expert one becomes, the feeling comes that I do not need to depend on the Lord because I am so expert. I can take care. But Krishna is saying, Nimitta Matra Bhava Savya Sachi. Oh, expertise personified, depend on me. Because success in my mission will not come with your expertise. It will come by depending on me, by my grace. So therefore, you depend on me and follow. That is important. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada wanted to make him temple president. But this devotee was feeling, I am not qualified, I can't do this, it's beyond my capacity, it's too much burden. So he heard from other sources, Prabhupada wants to make you president. So he wrote a whole list of reasons why he cannot be president. And kept it ready in his pocket. He came and met Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, I have a service for you. The devotee was ready. Prabhupada will tell me, become president. I will take out the list. Thesis is ready. How I cannot be? Prabhupada said, I want you to take sannyas. He thought he heard something wrong. He said, Prabhupada, what did you say? I want you to take sannyas. Prabhupada, how can I take sannyas? I just got married. Recently, I got a 7-month-old son. Prabhupada said, Krishna will take it. You take sannyas. So, but Prabhupada, I do not have control over my senses. Prabhupada, you take sannyas, control will come. And then whatever argument he was giving, Prabhupada was demolishing. He realized this is serious. He says, Prabhupada, I am willing to do anything except take sannyas. Prabhupada said, become president. But I am not qualified. You become instrument, qualification will come. So Arjuna is saying, I can't do this, I can't fight. Nimitta matra. Because anyway the soldiers are going to get destroyed. Death will come and you are a fighter, you have to fight. So Arjuna, your fighting is a reality. And you want this same? Your fighting is a reality and death for all of these people is also reality. If you simply follow my timing, you will become glorious. So when the opportunity comes, a window is open. Idiots keep resisting me, using their own brain given by their previous karma. And that becomes their biggest disastrous enemy. So when the opening comes, just accept it and see Krishna reveal his magnificent plan. तोमार सेवाया दुख होए जत से तो परम सुख सेवा सुख दुख परम संपद नाशाय avidya dukha. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, in your service, Sukha and Dukkha comes and goes. My dear Lord, please destroy the ignorance within my heart. That Dukkha which comes as part of devotional service is a cause for great Sukha. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna that you become my instrument. So, purpose of knowing Krishna is not how much Krishna knows, but how well we choose and we become instrument in his hands. And then finally, there are prayers of Arjuna in this beautiful section where Arjuna is glorifying Krishna, and then the whole chapter ends with Krishna glorifying bhakti or devotional service and mentioning to Arjuna that if you want to please me, then engage all of your talents in my service. Mat karma krit mat paramo mat bhakta sangha varjita nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yah samameti pandavam. Whatever you have, offer in my service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Yavas yaschashmi tattva. Tatoma tattvato bhutma vishate tat nantaram. So having glorified bhakti by saying mat bhakta sangha varjita, naturally Krishna now, having described the Vishwarupa, Kalarupa, Chaturbhuja Rupa, and finally Shyam Sundar Rupa, because Krishna, Arjuna is bewildered and he says, I can't see this anymore. Please come back to your original form. Now Krishna glorifies in the 12th chapter devotional service or bhakti. Why personal worship? Because personal worship is easier and one can be happier also. And not only it is easier, the devotee feels happier, but it is faster because we don't depend on our efforts alone. We have Krishna's grace to support us. And therefore Arjuna asks question, which is better, personal form or impersonal method? And Krishna explains which method is better, through the personal or impersonal. Krishna says, Maya vesha mano yema nitya yukta upasate shraddhaya parayopeta yeme yukta tamomatam. To engage in my personal form is much better, Krishna says. And thus, Krishna prefers the personal form, and he says the impersonal method is troublesome. Kleshamodikatarastesham avyakta satyatetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavat nirvapyate. For one who is embodied, the avyakta method is troublesome. And therefore, he recommends ye to sarvane karmane mai sanyasya matparah ananyena yogena mam dhyayant upasate. Offer everything to me, including your thoughts. And when you do that, I will personally come. Teshamaham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavan najirat patamaya veshita chetasam. I will come and become the deliverer of the soul. So therefore, the nature of this world is there is suffering in this world. Why there is suffering in this world? How many here have experienced suffering in this world? With both hands. So the suffering is designed by the Lord, number one. So the Bhagavatam mentions 8 different reasons why suffering is embedded within this world. Because Mrityu Samsara Sagarat. Samsara Sagarat means material world of suffering. So number one, suffering is designed by the Lord. Second, the ultimate cause can only be understood that all suffering is caused by Him. You may not be able to understand the immediate cause through speculation, argumentation, contemplation, meditation, imagination, and explanation. Why this suffering took place? You have to accept ultimate cause of all causes is Krishna. Right? And then, third, this material world is certified as a place of suffering by Krishna. Dukkhalayam. So the suffering may happen to me in this life, but somebody may become instrument, but he is simply delivering to me what is from my own past life. He is only an instrument, like that. Fourth, you don't control, the suffering. We cannot control this suffering because happiness and distress comes out of its own accord. Tasyeva heto prayatetu kovido. Fifth, whether there is suffering or happiness, be dutiful. Sixth, understand the cause of all suffering is the time factor. Sarvam kala kritam manye bhavatam chedapriyam sapalo yadvashiloko mayor eva bhanavali. Vishnudev says it is time factor. Otherwise, how can Pandavas go through such suffering? Seventh, the time is nothing but the Lord's will. And eighth, the Lord's will is nothing but it is an inconceivable manifestation of Krishna's plans. Yatra dharma suto raja gada panir prapodara Krishnos Sri Gandivam chapam suhrit Krishnas tato. Bhishma is saying, what a family the Pandavas are having. Yudhishthira is dharma personified, Arjuna is skill personified, Bhima is power personified, Nakul and Sahadeva were loyalty personified, Krishna is well-wisher personified. All favorable factors are together in one family. Still they went through disaster after disaster. Yudhishthira Maharaj in 10th canto tells Krishna, my dear Lord, when people hear about what we went through, they will become fearful of worshipping you. Because people come to the temple with 2 prayers. Increase my sampatti, decrease my vipatti. This is the bottom line. Other things are detailed. And then they leave it to him. You decide how you want to do it. Some advance payment I'm making. In hundi. Or I'm making a donation. But make sure Sukha Sampati Ghar Aave. Kashta Mite Tanka. So this is typically the idea. So here are the Pandavas. They are going through suffering after suffering because devotees love to hear a story that someone was in difficulty, they came to Krishna and Krishna sorted it out. Say, wow, that's my story. That's why I come here. Now we had a student in medical college, all the time preaching, preaching, preaching. I told him, "Arey, study, Baba. Tomorrow you will see patients, right? That time you can't open the book in front of the patient." So he said, "No, Prabhu, I am hearing your lecture. You are saying Krishna will take care. I have full confidence." One day before exam, I was standing in front of deities and going on praying for half an hour. I got bewildered. I came to him and said, "What are you praying?" He said, "I am telling the Lord, the whole campus knows that I am Hare Krishna devotee. The future of the preaching of Hare Krishna in the campus is in your hand." I said, "What a negotiation." He wrote the exam, he passed. The day the result came, I came for the program. Typically, for my lecture in the hostel, 8 or 9 people would come for lecture. 50 people would come for prasad. Some people would open the door during lecture and look at me and say, "Abhi khatam nahi hua kya?" And they would see me as a threat between them and prasad. So that day for lecture, 50 people were sitting. I got bewildered. I checked again, this is the right room or what? I looked at all of them. "Hey, how come all of you came?" They took that fellow's name and they said, "If that person can pass his exam, that means Krishna must be the Supreme Personality of God." When this guy passed, few others who had studied 10 times more than him, they failed. They went into depression. Not only he passed, he also got postgraduate seat. Then I told him that somehow, whatever has happened between you and Krishna, you are getting PG seat, which is the aspiration even of some of the most hardest working people. You gave a lot of stress to Krishna in UG exam. In post graduation, please you also study. So he took it seriously, studied well, and in post graduation he became gold medalist in Bombay University. So these stories devotees love because it comes with a tagline, "And they lived happily ever after." But the reality is not like that. So the reality is that there will be suffering, and why the Lord exposes devotees to this suffering if Lord is supposed to be Karuna Sindhu? So the Bhagavatam gives various reasons why the Lord does this. First, just like a parent is strict with the child in education, make sure you study. So like that, the Lord makes sure that all distractions are minimized. You take away the smartphone from the child or not allow the person to go online and all that so that he can study. So Krishna also takes away. Focus on spiritual education. Second, Krishna wants to glorify the devotee by showing his tolerance, how he can go through his suffering like this. Third, when the devotee calls out to the Lord in distress, the Lord reciprocates with him. Fourth, that reciprocation gives an experience of gratification to the Lord. Just like when there is a burn, you put the ointment, it has a cooling effect. Fifth, Krishna wants to protect and control admission to the school of bhakti. Any institution of class has a very tough entrance exam. Majority of the students, just by hearing the extent of how tough the exam is, they don't even try. So Krishna wants to advertise this school of bhakti is very tough. Only deeply interested students need apply. So by hearing about all the suffering devotees go through, 99% tell Hare Krishna. You be happy with Krishna. We will go to other demigods, who seem to be more reciprocal. We ask something, they give. We want something more predictable, not someone unpredictable like Krishna who's standing in threefold bending form like a hook. You don't know whether he will go this way or this way or this way. So the way Krishna stands itself is indication that my every moment reciprocation with you will be, I will be the supreme personality of unpredictability. You're ready? Then come. So therefore Bhagavatam begins with Parikshit, who saw Krishna in the womb getting cursed to die. अरे क्या पाप किया? कोई पाप नहीं किया. So why he got Krishna's will? When he was in the womb, Krishna wanted Brahmastra to die and Parikshit to be born. Now Krishna wanted Parikshit to die and Bhagavatam to be born. What changed? Krishna's mood. How his mood will change? You and me have no control. Are you still ready? Welcome. So Bhagavatam is taking us through a list of devotees who are willing to embrace that unpredictable reciprocation of Krishna. And therefore, this suffering and stories of suffering protects the school of bhakti from the faithless and those who are selfishly inclined. Sixth, one's appreciation for Krishna increases when one intensifies their prayer. And seventh, just like at the end of a dark night, you appreciate sun, at the end of a Nirjala Ekadashi, you appreciate water. When there is intense cold, you appreciate warmth. So when there is intense suffering, you appreciate the great warmth which you get by shelter of Krishna. Like that. So therefore, the Bhagavatam describes how to respond when you go through this suffering condition. So therefore, after knowing all this, Krishna says, you begin the process of bhakti, and then Krishna reveals 4 stages of doing bhakti. What are the 4 stages? He begins by first mentioning the first stage. Maya saktamana partha Mayeva mana adhatsva Mai buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva atha urdhvam na samshaya. Highest is always think of me. You can't do that and your mind is distracted. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichhatum dhananjaya. You practice abhyasa yoga, sadhana bhakti, regulated bhakti, practice and develop desire to attain me. Then you say, no, 16th round, 4 regulative principle. I will die. I cannot do this too much. Hare Krishna, you are too fanatic. Not possible for me. Abhyasepya samarthosi. If you cannot do abhyas also, then what you should do? Work for me. Karatum madhyogam. Then you work for me and offer the fruits for me. And if you can't even do that, then you just do detached work. So in this way, he offers various things that absorption in Krishna sadhana, remembering Krishna, working for Krishna, or working for a good cause. These are the four levels at which he describes the progressive levels of bhakti. But then the question arises, even if someone is Mayeva Manadhat, so like the Pandavas, they went through suffering, how to respond, how not to respond to that suffering? Bhagavatam says, devotees should not respond to suffering with justification, rationalization, denying responsibility, identifying of cause beyond self. Like Dhruv Maharaj became angry with the Yakshas for killing his brother, started taking revenge upon them. And fifth, inconsistency in accepting that I am the doer. In success, you think I am the doer. When something goes wrong, I am not the doer. Somebody else must be the doer. So that is inconsistency. So therefore, when there is success and benefit, you consider it as God's, and when there is loss and reversal, then the conditioned soul tendency in calamity is to condemn, criticize the Creator as crooked and want to change the creative laws. That is what happened when Chitraketu Maharaj, he married one wife, didn't get a child, married second wife, didn't get a child, married third wife, didn't get a child. He married 1 crore wives. He is the original crorepati. Still get a child. Then Narad Muni and Angira Rishi came. Angira Rishi and one more Rishi came, and then they said, he said, give some blessings. So he said, okay, what blessings? Child. He will be called Harsha Shobha. He said, okay, no problem. Child was born, but other queens became jealous and poisoned. And when that child died, Queen Kritaduti, who got that child, who lost that child, she condemns this calamity, criticizes the Creator as crooked, and demands we should change the creative laws. So this is not how we should respond. So even if you have practiced Krishna consciousness fully, have absorbed yourself totally in the Lord, like the Pandavas, when difficult situations come, how we should respond is described by Krishna by revealing the character, the qualities of devotees from the 13th verse to the 20th verse of the 12th chapter. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. In this way, 36 plus qualities are described in those series of verses. So how to respond? Tolerate the inevitable. Second, gratefully accept that suffering. Third, identify the mind as the culprit. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devatatma griha karma kala manah param karanama mananti samsara chakram parivartayetya. When difficulty comes, I start searching who's responsible. This person, that person. Nayam jano me. Na devata. Na griha, not the grihas. Na karma, na kala. Manah param karanama. So identify the mind as the culprit. And then fourth, then counteract the negativity by approaching the supreme positive. Fifth, be helpful and hopeful in all situations. When Dhruv Maharaj was offended by his stepmother, he came to his mother Suniti and she said, Tameva vatsashraya bhritya vatsalam mumukshuri mridya padam cha paddhatim. Look at the positive. What your stepmother said? She said, don't sit on, you are not eligible to sit on your father's throne, but she said, you will become eligible by worshipping Lord Narayan. Catch that positive. Go and worship Narayan. So in all situations, you can always find the positive. And sixth, have faith that nothing inauspicious can happen for the devotees. Nothing inauspicious can ever happen for devotees because one may think that the biggest loss in my life is loss of money, loss of reputation, loss of wealth, loss of assets, loss of property, loss of reputation, loss of relationships, loss of loved ones. But through the 10th canto, Krishna's appearance, Krishna reveals that the greatest loss in life is loss of hope. And why Krishna appeared to Vasudeva is Vasudeva lost everything except hope. And therefore Vasudeva is glorified as Tatascha Shauri Bhagavat Prachodita Sutam Samadaya Sutika Grihat. He is described as brave. From the Bhagavatam perspective, brave is not someone who has led an army and defeated other armies and other kingdoms. Brave is one who refuses to be defeated by circumstances and refuses to lose hope. Each of the 6 sons who were born to Vasudeva and Devaki were given by Vasudeva and Kamsa's hand, and Kamsa picked up each one of those small, helpless babies, hit them against the rock right in front of Vasudeva and Devaki, and killed them mercilessly. Vasudeva and Devaki refused to become hopeless in this situation and continued to aspire to go through that pain so that Krishna can be born. So therefore, Krishna agrees to come as Vasudeva's son. Because Krishna comes in the heart of the devotee who refuses to feel hopeless and maintains the hope even in the most hopeless conditions. So these series of verses describe those qualities of the pure devotees, where the devotees are tolerant, non-envious. They do not cause harm to others. They do not become trouble for others. They are not envious of others. They are friendly to others. They are compassionate to others. One student in IIT was asking me a question after Janmashtami lecture. You said that Krishna appeared as the 8th son of Vasudeva Devaki and they had to go through so much. But Kamsa, if he knew that the 8th son is a threat to him, Kamsa should have put Vasudeva in one jail, Devaki in another jail. Not even one son would have been born. Kamsa did not get even this simple idea or what? I said, what to do? Kamsa had not gone to IIT. So the idea of Krishna putting Vasudeva and Devaki through such series of tribulations is to inspire us that life will be filled with challenges and difficulties. But this is to test whether you remain hopeful or become hopeless. And therefore, this 12th chapter is describing the qualities which endear one to Krishna: humility, forgiveness, satisfaction, non-envy, equanimity, respect, compassionate, tolerance. So a few months ago, the director of IIM Nagpur approached me and he said, we want a whole course to be presented in IIM on life management skills. So I said, yeah, we can present it, but are you sure? I'm coming in saffron and everything, you're okay? I said, yeah. So it's a 1.5 credit, 15-hour course. And in that course, we teach the students the 8 qualities: purpose, habits, focus, relationships, determination, discrimination, humility, and tolerance, life management skills. And I have been appointed as a visiting faculty in IIM Nagpur, and already the first course is over, where all these qualities have been taught. So, the Modi government has revealed the new education policy. And as part of the new education policy, there is the Indian knowledge systems which need to be embedded within our current education system, within that framework. So, as part of that, all our ancient wisdom, which can be of practical benefit to people in their application, in their career, in their professional and personal lives, now the ecosystem has become very open. How we can actually add these values to people in their own lives, in their own practice. And so the message of the Gita is not something theoretical. These 7 verses from 13 to the 20th verse describe by practice of devotional service what kind of real transformational experience one goes through. All the current education system is only teaching people how to be successful, how to be successful. But what's the difference between success and happiness? Success is to get what you like, but happiness is to like what you get. And therefore, we need to teach people not just how to be successful, but how to respond when others are successful. And therefore, unless one's heart is purified of lust, greed, pride, envy, anger, illusion, and one actually experiences these qualities, one will continue to experience dissatisfaction and frustration, in spite of having been exposed to the highest degrees, highest institutions, and all big, big names. But ultimately, there will be a deep, nagging dissatisfaction. So, on the occasion of Gita Jayanti, we are grateful to His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who out of His causeless mercy took this message of the Gita all over the world, and thanks to Srila Prabhupada's inspiration and his focus on distribution of books, Iskcon has distributed 56 crore Bhagavad Gitas in the last 55. And I'm grateful to Gauranga Krishna Prabhu, my very good friend, who I just talked to before I came here, is in Hyderabad for some urgent responsibilities given to him. He has inspired a wonderful congregation of devotees here, and all of you are fortunate to have the shelter of Shri Shri Gandharvika Girdhari Sriman Mahaprabhu and Lakshmi Narasimhadev. And I pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada that all of your devotional desires are fulfilled and all your obstacles in the path of devotional service are overcome. Echai Gosai Jara Charana Bandhan Jaha Huete Vignanash Abhishta Puran. When we go through challenging situations, we should take the deepest shelter in prayer. And prayer at the lotus feet of our acharyas is very powerful. Murkhani Chakshudramoi Vishaya Lalas Vaishnavagya Bale Kore Etika Sahas. Kaviraj Goswami says, I'm foolish, I'm fallen, I'm insignificant, and I'm a sense gratifier. So someone may say, why are you trying to write Chaitanya Charitamrita? Vaishnavagya Bole Kore Etika Sahas. On the strength of the instruction of the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, who are instructing me, write the CC. And I'm praying to the predecessor acharyas to bless me. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Charaner Eiva Jar Smrite Siddha Hoye Vanchita Sakal. There is tremendous power in remembering the lotus feet of our previous acharyas. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Charaner Eiva. The lotus feet have so much of power. By remembering them, Jar Smrite Siddha Hoye will fructify. What? Vanchita Sakal. All my devotional desires will be fulfilled. So therefore, Gita Jayanti is an occasion where we remember with gratitude the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada because of the effort which he took of spreading Krishna consciousness globally. He not only gave the books, but he also gave the person Bhagavatas in whose association not only we have the Sambandha Gyan, but we can practice the Avidheya in our journey towards the Prayojan, which is Krishna Prema. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Listen carefully and please listen. What do you want to announce?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We don't know how to express our gratitude, but thank you so much for giving us such an enticing, enchanting, and enriching class. Shri Shri Kantalika Giridhari Sriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nasarale Bhagwan ki, Nagal Guru Shri Prabhupada ki, Tagore Premanande. Hare Krishna. There are a couple of announcements. We have a very simple devotee here. His Grace Bhakti Vinod Prabhu. Prabhu, we'd like to invite you, welcome you to National Giridhari Mandir. Can you please come in front, Prabhu, please? And request His Grace Premadatta Chaitanya Prabhu.
We have one more thing common with Lakshmi Narsinga Mandir here, that your architect and the architect at the Govardhani College are same.
Haribo.
And Bhaktivinoda Prabhu is incidentally now leading an initiative of creating green temples, and we are working closely in that direction. And I believe that a lot of just by seeing the clay tiles, roof tiles, I can see Chitra's signature in this design. And many of the sustainable initiatives are being implemented here. So congratulations for that. We have in IISc passed a resolution of making 25 temples of Iskcon green temples under Indian Green Building Council. So we have already done 5 or 6. So very soon we can have this also.
A couple of words and then I'll stop and enjoy the kirtan. Prabhu, we are also actually surprised in terms of seeing this bigger crowd inside the hall. Normally, this bigger crowd is outside, like I said, Prashant. But it shows very, very clearly that
they have full faith there is enough prasad. They are not in anxiety.
This is such a auspicious day today, 8th January, and if we have to express our gratitude, it has to be to His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Let us express our sincerest gratitude. The best way to express that is by following Prabhupada's most favorite seva, and that is, so let us take a hope that we will all individually take a commitment of distributing as many Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam books as possible for the next 30 days. and they make sure that it please the Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara. We also want to invite and welcome all the new devotees who have come from various bhakti centers and all the other temples from Bangalore. So thank you very much for being with us here. Let us chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra very loudly so that we can humbly request His Grace, Gauranga Prabhu, to come here more often and maybe encourage us more and more. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's go to Kirtan for a few more minutes and then, like Prabhu said, Prasad is there. And we want some volunteers to take care to go and put another counter and you want to send long please. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,